Welcome to Global Perspectives. Today we're diving into the transformative world of intuitive food therapy and holistic wellness with Lainie Sevante Wulkan. She's an international best-selling author, a multimodality healer whose work bridges food, nutrition, spirituality and self-discovery. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You are the creator of the Nourish Your Soul program. So according to you, what does it actually mean to nourish the soul, and how can people make this a part of their everyday lives?
Nourish Your Soul really is a look at all areas of your life: emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and how all those aspects come into one accord. And we need to really learn to balance our bodies. We can't be so focused on physical that we forget the spiritual. We can't be so much neglecting our emotional needs and care and our mental health and then compensate elsewhere. So it's very important we have a way to nourish all aspects of ourselves for balance and longevity.
What do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to intuitive food?
I think the biggest misconception is when we have other people tell us what to do without looking at our own choices, our own intuition. The misconception is that you must intermittent fast because that is what is so popular, or you must eat every 2 hours, or I can go on, if you go online you can have 100 do this, do that, it's the only way. And the truth is that there's many ways, and they may all be good, or there may be only some good. But what's really good is for you to learn to trust your own dialogue with your spirit, your own dialogue with your soul, asking yourself, is this in alignment for me, for my body?
Is there any particular moment or any experience where you felt that a piece of chocolate lying in the fridge is calling out to you and saying, please eat me? What do you do at those moments?
Well, that is a very common occurrence for me and others. I happen to be obsessed with chocolate. What I could say to that is, think about why, the why that you want the chocolate, but also, will this serve me in about an hour? Will this serve me in about a day? Because a lot of times it'll serve us now on the impulsive side of things. I would say to that also is to allow yourself that ability to indulge in something, maybe in moderation, without the regret. Because it's when we put that frequency of regret into food consumption is where I think the body starts to hold on to it. We hold on to the anger, I shouldn't have eaten that. We hold on to the frequency of regret and sometimes shame. And what I would like to share is that if you're going to indulge with full frequency and allowance and permission, because that's a different energy going into the body than the others.
Usually when we see any kind of junk food, because junk foods are tasty, right?
I know, we're on a good subject, maybe.
Yeah, so junk food or chocolate or anything that's tasty and we think it fulfills our craving, even though we're on diet, we're like, okay, well, I'll just take this for a day, and that ends up turning into weeks and decades, and we never actually do cleansing or detox.
It's a bad cycle.
Yeah, so the temptation is pretty high. In that case, how do you suggest people balance that temptation with the actual purpose of giving your body that space and that healthy food instead of all the junk that's outside?
That's a big question, and there's a lot of factors because we don't know what's going on in someone's life. We don't know if they're just overly stressed, because stress brings so many other factors. Emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual can be off balance. We know that. And that starts a bad cycle in a pattern that continues. And so allowance, that ability to be looking at your situation. Why am I choosing these foods versus foods that are a little bit more loving to my body? And looking at how we can maybe identify and address the issues that are causing the imbalance.
There are times when cheat days are like rewards for what you have done. If you have had a week long of healthy food, you just wait for that day and you say, that's the day I'm going to eat that food. So that's like a reward for you managing your temptations throughout the month.
Yeah.
But it could sometimes also lead to instant gratification. How do you differentiate between both of those?
I almost don't differentiate. I think about one of my favorite teachers, if you will, is Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he has a study called epigenetics. He is a biologist, and a lot of his teachings looked at our cells. He discovered there's a consciousness in our cells. So we can actually talk to ourselves. We can actually create harmonization of our cells, which then harmonize with the other cells and create wellness, harmony in the body. However, we can also create disharmony. And I also think that when we have junk food, you can look at that as a disharmony, or as I said earlier, you can give yourself that energetic permission, have enough and be complete with it. So it's almost like you can say, I'm going to do this, and I'm really going to make that commitment and give myself permission, and then I'm going to move back into wellness. Or you could just say, is that for my highest good? And if you can develop that intuitive knowing that, no, it's not for your highest good, then you let it go and you make another choice.
Food, I believe, teaches you a lot of things. For example, it teaches you what's right for you, what's wrong for you. So it teaches you intuition, it teaches you self-discovery. And when we talk about instant gratification and learning how to manage your temptations, it also teaches a discipline. So how do you think that discipline we learn here applies to our broader life, professional life and career as well?
We are this wonderful energetic system. So for instance, if we want to be very grounded, if we're going in and making a big presentation, you're getting ready for an interview, you're going to be asking for a promotion, whatever it is, you want to be grounded in your ability. You want to be in your earth element. And so there are foods that actually provide that. And so starting with the basis of food, what are you going to eat that morning to prepare yourself for the day? Are you going to eat foods that harmonize and bring you more towards your visualized goal? Or are you going to provide foods for your body that's quick and easy and a high burst of energy, but then it makes you crash? So I think that when you can start to control and have a better understanding of your body, that does play a role in every single thing, in your relationships, in your career, just about everything. And it starts with, again, nourishing this body temple, and then that body temple allows you to do all the other things that you're here to do.
You've been a speaker at holistic wellness festivals worldwide. What has those interactions taught you, or how have they influenced your approach to holistic wellness?
First off, I love interacting with the public in person. I love to feel their expressions. I give all sorts of different presentations, but one of the most impactful presentations is discussing how nature has provided the clues for our body. For instance, there are many foods that look like the organ that they're wanting to heal. And so you look at walnuts.
Looks like the brain.
Look like the brain.
Right.
And carrots and blueberries look like the eyes, and mushrooms the ears, and actually grapes look like lungs. And so when I identify how we've actually been provided clues right away without us even realizing it. And I've seen so many times, in fact, I talk about it in one of my books, that a woman came to me at one of the festivals, and she came right up and she said, I have heart disease, and what can I do? And I'm scared, and da-da-da. And I had my cards with me, and I asked her to pull a card. And the one card that I had just got done giving a presentation on was a red bell pepper. Looks like the chambers of a heart. So I asked her to pull a card, and she pulls the red bell peppers. It's just, I've seen it 1,000 times, but I think that's very impactful for people to understand that if they have something going on, they can actually be in control of their wellness without feeling 10 people told me 10 different things I need to do for heart disease. What is my body asking for? Well, even the smallest step is to having more red bell peppers, but there are many things you can do. So I speak on the consciousness of food, and I start to talk about that energy and frequency and vibration, and how people already have the answers inside. They know. And so I'm just providing them almost a guideline and a permission to understand deeper how we can take care of our body. Just think about it in terms of nature: earth, air, fire, water. So earth is our bones, and earth, air. Air is our breath. And fire is the whole system. It's the chi. It's the way our body, there's not a system in the body that doesn't require fire and energy. And then, of course, water is the water in our body, in the blood. And then spirit is our soul. So if we are this walking embodiment of nature, we want to eat according to just like homeopathy. We want to eat according to nature. So it understands, it metabolizes, it breaks down, it transmutes, it expands, it elevates, and it enlightens with food.
So with the knowledge of food, we can be our own doctors.
I feel that the term Hippocrates said it best, that food is medicine. And I think that we can start with what we are making the choices intuitively to serve ourselves and serve our family, starting at a very early age, starting in pregnancy, starting with how am I growing life? How am I bringing natural to my body?
Your retreats offer experiences in healing. So what are the unique things that the retreat provides, and why is it that people should look for these retreats?
I love my retreats. They're called Nourish Your Soul retreats. That's my brand. And it's my joy and it's my honor to gather a group and take them all around the world, different places, because I want them to experience, what it is like to eat with intention. My teachings, what it is like to eat for your chakras, what it is like to eat according to nature. So all of my retreats have that consciousness. You get to spend a week or two, you have me there, I get to provide healings and readings and allow people to see it, but I give them the experience of intuitive food therapy by working with chefs. Sometimes we have cooking classes so I can learn for them, teach them to go back and after the retreat, go home and continue eating this way. There have been times where we go to Costa Rica and we have this beautiful land and we give them the tours of the medicine right from the land, a medicinal herb tour, just taking them and showing them that you may be walking on a hike and realizing that there's food right there. So we give them those experiences as well as nourishing the soul. So we give them meditation, yoga, different processes that awaken them, different ways to experience the elements. So it's a combined week or more sometimes of teachings that incorporate food, spirituality, just everything roll into one, and they're always wonderful. And it's also a way for people who've been studying the Food Healing Oracle deck cards or any of the books, or meeting me as an author or some of the other authors that I co-write with. And we have many around the world, so I always look forward to doing that, to allow people to experience and have me there as a guide.
You're an international best-selling author, and your new book, High Vibration Wellness. What is the main message that you aim to convey through this book?
When we talk about feeding the body temple, it's not just the food that goes into the physical form, it's feeding the mind, it's feeding the soul. And as I said earlier, that when we have the balance of that emotional, mental, and physical and spiritual, that's when we have longevity, that's when we have the happiness and the peace. And that's when we have abundance, because we attract to that high vibration. And so that book is so wonderful because as me as the lead author, there's 25 authors, not just me. I guide the other authors, and then they all have provided a written chapter. And all 25 of us have told our story. And we've told our story of where we came from, maybe something that happened in our life that inspired us to move into a modality. And there's many modalities in there. There's tapping, there's essential oils, there's Reiki, it's just wonderful, yoga, and of course mine, which is intuitive food therapy. But not only does it tell a story, 25 stories, it also provides 25 healing tools, 25 healing modalities. They can go to each little chapter, and then at the end, they'll be provided a recipe. They'll be provided a meditation. They'll be provided some sort of way to be better in their life.
You've worked with people in Hollywood as well. So when we look at Hollywood or a lot of movies,
Yes.
we see fit actors, fit actresses, and we dream to become like that. We dream to have a body shape that looks like theirs. So while that's a very good motivation for a lot of people, that might not be a very healthy thought, as you keep that constant comparison with somebody who's been, you know, who you idolize.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell those people who keep them as their role model, and how do you prevent constant comparison and not lose your entire identity in the process of trying to become somebody else or trying to achieve something?
I've noticed as time has gone on, you know, earlier that people idolize, you know, a tiny figure.
Yeah.
And then there are larger figures who may be very healthy. And so it could be their DNA, you know, we come in, you know, that certain parts of our existence are already predestined, and you can make adjustments accordingly. You know, when I worked in Hollywood, and this was a long time ago, I'm blessed to say I got my career started working for a Hollywood chef, and we worked for very famous, actually the most famous at the time, Michael Jackson and Barbara Streisand, and oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. It's quite a big list. But I know that every one of them had very individual diets or foods that they wanted. But what they all had was a consciousness to take care of themselves. And so it didn't matter if they were the most famous singer or the famous actress. Each one of them knew that less is best. Nature is calling them to eat more consciously and to take care of them. So to me, it's the role model of people who are already intuitively knowing how to take care of them, so they can take care of others, so they can be the best and provide their talented gifts to the world. And I've worked with many in Hollywood through the years, and what I do know is that the ones that I find who come from kindness and peace and love and joy, they're eating that way. They're eating love and joy. They're putting that high vibrational wellness inside so they can, you know, be that for others.
Holistic wellness is not just about feeding your stomach.
Right.
It's about feeding your mind, it's about
Yes.
feeding your body and soul. And we talked about how understanding your body is important, knowing your intuition and consciousness is pretty important, and motivation. Now what I would like to focus on is consistency. How can people maintain that consistency to achieve results? Because results is what we want to see, and it keeps us
Yes.
motivated, right?
Yes.
So what is the key to consistency?
I find that staying present is really important. Somebody asked me the other day, well, does that mean you have to go to the store every single day versus a week? And I have to say the answer is yes, because what we want today, what our body is asking today, is what our body will want to be at our best. But in a week's time, so much could happen. Driving, you know, there are a billion situations can happen. And so providing food that may not support that mood, you had a bad day at the office, somebody cut you off on the street while driving, your emotions can go up and down. I always say to eat according to where you're at in that moment. So the intention is, I'm going to support my body. I'm going to support my chakra system, because the chakra systems are so important for us to keep going and to allow spirituality to come in, to allow spirit, no matter what your religion or your practice is to be more of the listener than more of the controller.
what are your future plans to contribute to holistic wellness and intuitive food therapy?
I have the third food healing oracle deck in development. But one of my biggest passions, and we've mentioned it a lot here today, is the chakra system and how to feed this chakra system. And as I explained it with my other book, it's not just the food that goes in feeding our chakras. If we want to have more enlightenment with our third eye, what can we do? But it's really addressing each one of the chakra systems through a variety of modalities. So there'll be food, there'll be color, there'll be other modalities. And so it's going to be a whole array of different healing techniques: mind, body, spirit, emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. I call them healing handbooks because these days people are so busy. They don't want a book this big. They want to get straight to it.
Yeah.
So there'll be a 7 series called Feeding Your Chakras. And I'm also working with a wonderful healer out of Wales in London. And she is an amazing healer and works with the angels, the archangelic realm. And we're going to be talking about food and archangels, which is a very interesting topic for some people who who pray to angels. And so each culture is different. So I'm excited about that. And I'll be doing a lot more retreats and more to be seen. And there's a lot more going on.
We look forward to the new Oracle deck and all the books you're going to be writing.
Thank you.
You also run a podcast.
Yes.
So we look forward to more episodes of that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We will be back with a new episode. Until then, hope you have a great week ahead. Namaste.